Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Facebook Live. This is Mike George coming at you live on assignment from Alexandria, Louisiana, along the ever so scenic Lee Street, which has been my sort of regular, I guess you could say, stomping grounds for the last, 4 months or so of life. So people often ask me, Mike George, you're crazy for not having a car. And I always get the shade of, being the militant pedestrian that I am, and people always think I'm nuts for not owning a car. And you get all the fucking attitude from people, all of the stigma, all of the associations of being poor, being jobless, being whatever, just because I don't own a car. And yeah, I don't know. For some of you guys who've known me for more than a few years, this is my life. I have pledged as an environmentalist, as somebody who works in the industry of energy and environmentalism, I just think it's absurd that we have allowed ourselves to live in this world where everybody has to drive a fucking car. And I pledged in 2018 that I would never buy a car for myself again, which is a difficult sacrifice to make, given that that meant I sold off my Mazda. That Mazda was a beaut. She was my baby girl, and I miss her. But at the same time, we are in the year 2023, and it is absurd that we still live in this world where we're beholden to gas prices, where we're beholden to your car starting successfully every morning. And I just don't want to be a part of it anymore. And I told myself, well, fuck, this is our chance to literally vote with our feet. And so I made a decision to do that. And that's kind of where, and at first it was kind of a chore to cover the same amount of ground by foot, but I have to say, there's so many rewards that go along with it. I love being on foot. It affords me some daily exercise, even during those days where I'm lazy as fuck and don't really want to exercise, but still have to just to get downtown to where I need to do my thing. Plus, I don't know, I miss sort of being part of the urban fabric of a neighborhood. When I walk everywhere, I see all the little details of the buildings around me. I see all the faces of the people living in my neighborhood. And those are things you don't see when you're just driving past them at 35 miles per hour. And not to mention, well, shit. I mean, I can go on and on. But you know what? This place, Alexandria, is more than meets the eye. And for each day that I walk down Lee Street and, from between the mall and downtown, I see some of the same faces. I see some of the same people. And I've kind of developed a little bit of a reputation in this city. Especially when I had Wanda. I don't know, what really continues to allure me to this area is this sort of sense that I'm part of the community now. Even if it's just a small part of it, even if it's just being that crazy guy who walks everywhere with a big old stick with speakers on it, that's become my identity. And I love that. I love that there's cars that go by and honk their horns at me because they recognize my face. Even if I don't even have Wanda with me. And it's little shit like that. This is gonna sound so corny, but it reminds me so much of Sesame Street. When each character had their own little role in the show, and you just kind of got to know each character for whatever special little thing that they brought. And that's kind of how I feel about Alexandria, being on foot. I've gotten to know the town in a much more intimate way than I ever did when I was driving around the Clico car, just kind of zooming past all these places, not even giving a care as to what they were or who the people were that I was driving by. And so being part of that, getting to know a city on that intimate of a level is something I never would have been able to do had I just driven everywhere. And so I really cherish that. And that's something, we don't often talk about when we make the decision whether to drive or walk. And people are so worried about crime in this area. But at the same time, it's one of those things that if everyday people don't don't walk everywhere, then we basically just like surrender the streets to like some of these criminals. And like, I think there's a certain token of fear that goes around people's decisions to drive versus walk. And it's one of those things that just becomes another layer of excuses as to why people, give up the I guess the chore of walking versus the comforts of driving around their air-conditioned vehicles. So anyways, I could go on. This is like the soapbox. If anybody who's known me for more than an hour has not figured out by now. But I really appreciate Alexandria for all the little shit, like all, for the random people that say hello to me when I'm on the streets, when they see me, for all of the, like, I don't know, it's hard to really describe. Like, there's a certain sort of identity, there's a certain sort of connection that I've made with the city that I never made during the other year and a half in which I had a car and was just driving by these places and not really acknowledging any of it. So that's all I want to say about Alexandria. That's going to be my post of the day. Gosh, it's also just been an emotionally intense, well, for anybody who's seen the rest of my Facebook this week, it's been a really emotionally fraught week. But that's for another post. It's a beautiful Friday on the streets of Alexandria. I'm on my way downtown to do my thing at the library. So I hope y'all are having a lovely Friday. Happy Friday. And coming at you live from Alexandria, Louisiana, this has been Mike George on the streets special assignments. Really not really a special assignment. This is sort of my everyday thing. So I just haven't videotaped it yet. So coming at you live from the corner of Lee Street and Bolton Street, this has been Mike George from Alexandria, Louisiana. Happy Friday. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. Toodaloo.